Hey, it's Mixi from Stitched Up Heart, and you're listening to Music Existence.
Welcome to another instance of music existence where, because of music, we exist. My guest is Mixi from the band Stitched Up Heart. She and the band are back at it again with the new album Medusa. Right now, they're promoting the eponymous track. That's track number 6 on the album. We'll talk about it, as well as the album's new direction and, in general, the trajectory of the band as they hit 16 years together. Congratulations, Mixie.
Oh my God, don't remind me.
Man, but that's awesome that you've been at this so long and your band has been through so many changes, stylistic twists and turns. It's amazing.
It's been a journey, that's for sure. Yeah. We just write about life, and when we're in the moment of that life, that's like as authentically as the art comes out, you know?
hmm So
Mhm.
before any real conventional pop influences took place, you were inspired by The Little Mermaid of all things.
Oh,
Did you relate to that story in a way? Did you want to be part of that world?
I mean, I think that The Little Mermaid's definitely a staple point. I haven't thought about that in a while. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah. I used to sing along to all the Disney movies when I was little. Poorly, but still I did it and it was so much fun. And I was actually like thinking I was Snow White the other day because I had like my window open in my bath and I was like singing this song for this Christmas thing.
Oh man.
Um, and it was really fun, but it was like super Snow White and there was birds chirping and yeah, Disney, I guess. Uh yeah, there must be something to the Little Mermaid's Ariel to getting her voice stolen and her cursed. It's similar to the Medusa story if you think about it. Um, but she just wants love at the end of the day. That's it.
hmm
So does Medusa.
Yeah. And then how did that eventually translate into the more metal sort of influences that you began to harness? What kind of bands were you listening to at that point?
I think the decision to make this or put this band together started with oh man, okay, it's a lot, but it didn't really like we weren't really like planning on the music to sound a certain way exactly. Bullet for My Valentine we were listening to a whole bunch at the time. And I had originally been just planning to sing the parts, and I had planned someone to scream the parts because I didn't know I could scream, but I wanted some screaming in it. And as we were writing the songs, and it was just the style of music changes based off of the guitar players that are writing, based off the producers that we're working with. And based off the feeling that we're going in with initially. So it evolves over time. But I guess, yeah, it did have a little pop punk flair to it back then. Um, I think the first song we released was Is This the Way You Get to Hell? And I came in like screaming because I didn't know I could scream. And we were at rehearsals and it just came out like that. And I guess Is This the Way You Get to Hell is a great way to start this band because it's pretty much, Is this the way you get to hell? Because I'm pretty sure, no, I'm in heaven right now though.
Yeah. And I mean, I saw like the kind of early support you guys had. There was a lot of fan videos and a lot of behind the scenes. And there was this one guy who was, you know, following you around. I think his name was it Eric Mendoza or something? And he posted like a lot of videos detailing the recording. You had like placeholder names for each of the songs on the first EP, and there were Dead, Scars. I remember Scars, but
Yeah.
then there was
Oh, scars.
Karma, and then there was
Oh my God.
Change.
You know, it's wild digging back into those songs because sometimes, every once in a while, I was talking about this earlier. I'll go back and I'll listen to stuff from, that was 2010 when the band first started. So it's been a long time. I've been through a lot of stuff since then and experienced a lot. And so it's really crazy to go back and like listen to where I was consciously or mentally in that moment when I was writing those lyrics. And I even was talking about going back to when I was 15 years old, writing with an acoustic guitar. I have songs that I've never released, and I was singing them to the sky one day. I was just sitting there in my hammock and just singing like out there in nature.
How did you feel about those early songs?
When I was 15, actually, you know what? They're hits. They're bops. Like I could redo them and like it was just an acoustic guitar and me. But I think what I feel about it is it felt like I was writing my higher self or my future self a song to look back to and be like, look, I had you here and I have you here now. So don't worry so much. But it was like 15-year-old me thinking that I'd already experienced so much in my life. And like all my good days from elementary school are over. And like,
Yeah, and now I'm
but
in
like,
middle school.
yeah, I was like, yeah. But for some reason, I thought that I don't know, just life kind of hit me hard. I'm very empathic, so I can feel very deeply good and bad and everybody else's emotions around me.
Hmm.
Um, so as life goes, we get hit with stuff, and how we respond to that kind of molds our character. And listening to those old songs kind of bring me back to a time either maybe I wasn't like in a great headspace, or maybe uh, I was just a kid that thought that like I already knew everything, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and it wasn't, I mean, maybe there was a bit of ego, but in the same way, you had genuine confidence, so you were able to carry a band. And sort of before the band thing happened, you were on like this reality show back in 2009, and they actually wanted you to do a solo, be a solo artist, right?
Yes. Wow, that's funny. You did your research, man. So, that was like a casting call on Craigslist. And I was bored. I just got off tour. I was filling in on rhythm guitar, keyboards, and backing vocals for this band called Anti-Product from the UK. And actually, I think the guy that sang in that band just produced Wednesday 13's last record, Alex
But
Kane. Anyway, so I just got off tour and I was bored. And I was on Craigslist and I found this ad that was like, "Are you a musician?" And it was like the Tia Tequila days, like 2007 or 8.
oh man.
Um, and are you a musician and can you drink like Tia Tequila? And I was like, yeah, I can. Back then in my 20s, right? Um, so I like came to the audition with a bottle of Smirnoff, and I was like, "Hey, do you guys mind if I drink?" They said, "We love alcoholics." I'm like, "Great, you're hired." So I got the gig from being a hot mess. Like that's how the gig happened. How I won, I have no idea, because you won like a record deal with Geffen Records, and that was like I didn't expect to win. That's definitely it. That was a curveball for everybody, including myself. I just went for the experience, but it was fun. Chris Jericho was the host. That's how
Yeah.
I met him.
Yeah, I mean, you
Yeah.
mentioned Tua Tequila, like Chris Jericho. That's another like sign of the times.
Yeah, but I mean, we ended up on tour with him in the UK.
Hmm.
Fozzy took us on our very first UK tour.
Wow.
So that was another random 2021, from 2008 to 2021. That was super crazy.
Right. And going forward with the band, like you got a lot darker even by like Skeleton Key. Like just like a more kind of metallic edge on top of that punkish sort of
I
sound.
think I think a lot of what happened was Merritt joins the band and he
Hmm.
has a very dark element to him and so we try to improvise everybody's characters a little bit into the art and I just think it's super beautiful. I think the dark art is intriguing and mysterious and scary, but also kind of cool and like interesting, magical. Um, so it just was easy to channel, you know?
And remember there was also Escape the Nightmare and like going back like the sheer amount of like fan like lyric videos. I remember a comment I dug it up. It says I think it was the first EP and someone said this sounds freaking amazing. I don't understand why Stitch Up Heart is not demolishing the charts. Definitely and unfortunately the best kept secret in music today. And that's when you first started.
That was, I'm still getting those comments.
They thought you had
uh,
something like even with three songs.
bro, I feel like I was cursed for the longest time, but we won't talk about that. Yeah, it's, it is. It's been a journey
Yeah,
and it blew up really fast in the beginning.
yeah.
And then we had a lot of big waves and then like a lull. And it would be like next evolution and then little lull. And so every once in a while we get a little, we, I guess, get to a new level. I don't
Hmm.
know. Hopefully we have a new level coming soon. Anytime now. Come on.
Yeah. And like sort of finally free and never alone was like that transition period. Your sound changed too. It was sleeker, but it was also like heavier, like diving more into like new metal kind of territory. And did you get like a lot bigger of a push? I think that was your Century Records subsidiary era.
Yes, that was when we first got signed. It had taken 5 years to get signed to Century Media, and it was very like a huge milestone for us as a band. We've been trying to sign with them for a long time, so we finally did it. And the first song was finally free, and it wasn't really the album wasn't completely done yet. We had Mitchell Marlowe and Sahaj Tickerton from Raw, um, and we released finally free and Octane picked it up on hyper rotation like immediately and all the other stations followed suit and they blew it up and that song was massive and so then we had to finish the record as soon as we got back from tour with Like a Storm and From Ashes to New I think was out on that one.
Hmm.
um, so it's been a journey and yeah we've been doing this a long time, man.
Yeah. And so like kind of that whole trilogy, the Another Century trilogy of albums was all about you're addressing that heartbreak, but more on like a mainstream level. And like I said, very, very slick, but I don't think there was any real sort of artistic compromise other than like the polish. I think you really kind of transformed your sound while in the same way you kind of stuck to your guns. And as I've read too, they dropped you too. Now, was there any sort of malicious reasoning for that?
No, we've been working together for 10 years.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was 10 years of being on the same label. It was at a point where I think we both it was like I like to say that it was like you're staying in the marriage for the kids. Like where we weren't really helping each other at this point. And nobody cared on their side. I clearly could tell. And it was just like time to go. And we knew that that was going to happen for a while. I kind of got an inkling just on how they handled our music. Like you can tell when people care or not. And um, unfortunately, they stopped caring. A lot of the people left, and the people that cared left. So, um, yeah, we just ended up with another little heartbreak. Had to stitch it back up and write this album, which we ended up writing this record. Um, just completely with no pressure because it was just ours to just have fun with, and we wanted to just be crazy and get all of that out like therapeutically, all of the shadow work, all of the dark parts of the feelings that I was feeling during those times, and make it fun and get it and release it in a way that people can like mosh to and just get it out of their system. So I think we need an outlet for that stuff too.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, there's a lot of authentic lyrics from my heart in there, and you can hear it.
Yeah, because I read it was a tough transition to be in. I mean, you mentioned like by the time you what was it? Like you had you had to go up to present your award, like the She Rock Awards, and you said you felt like such a fraud because of like what just happened. And you're like, okay, you,
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't feel worthy of even accepting an award as I knew we were getting dropped. I don't know if we had gotten dropped or not at that point. I think they had dropped us. The only thing I had going was we had management that gave a shit. We had Monster Energy that helped cover the bill for the record. And they've been so supportive, and we've been with them for a very long time. So they carried us financially. It's really hard for bands right now financially to get to do stuff. Like it's really expensive. So keep that in mind. Um, and then once we wrote the record, everything was just like really good.
yeah,
Surprisingly, we were like, oh shoot, we can write without the label too. That's
yeah.
weird. Like we haven't
And
been doing it since we're 15.
yeah, but it's cool that you had that support that you've worked for, that you've earned, still on your side, regardless of the hardships that were going on behind the scenes. And then when we get to Medusa, um, this is also going back. I remember when you were being interviewed by Eric Blair, as part of his Blurring Out show. And you were saying like your sound, if you were to describe your sound, it was like taking black lipstick and glitter and setting them on fire. And I think Medusa is kind of like what this sort of represents stylistic wise, because it's a lot more tongue in cheek. It's a lot less, there's seriousness in the themes, but it's so much more lighthearted, so much more poppy than previous things because you're out with your friends. It's such a collaborative record, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and we really tried to get really clever with the lyrics and not just say the same stuff that everybody says in all the songs.
Yeah.
It's hard. There's only so many words, but uh, we tried to kind of be a little cheeky and a little tongue in cheek, right? So I'm glad you caught that. Like, take you for granite, turn you to stone.
Yeah.
It wasn't this. The song isn't even about hate. It's like it's my turn, bitch. You
Yeah.
know, it's like, Medusa gonna go.
Yeah. And she gonna go hard.
Hey,
Yeah. But yeah, well, she turns people to stone, hence the
yeah, she'll take you for granted.
yeah, granite, like granted and granite.
Granted,
Wow. Oh
you just
man.
got that.
Clever. Oh
I'll give
man.
that one to Evan. Evan gets that one.
Oh, good, good, good. Shouts out.
Yeah,
But
Evan McKeever.
yeah. But Medusa, is very much about kind of reclaiming your agency. And you also speak a little bit to that vulnerability too, like you do in in like you have done in your music. Like because Medusa, I mean, she's imagined in the song to be all powerful, but she's also mortal. And, you when you describe how you felt, you're not it's like you're no longer gonna have those sleepless nights just like sweating it out, just wondering what you mean to somebody anymore.
Yes, I think this is very much like realizing that somebody was toxic for you. And it took a long time for you to finally set your boundary. And after that, it's just once you set your boundary, you can't go back.
Yeah,
So,
and like that whole recovery period, it's incredibly just isolating. You really just lose yourself. Like you lose your sense of self.
or you find your sense
Yeah.
of self.
Yeah, I mean
I
eventually
seem I
eventually you
seem
find
to,
it.
you have to.
Yeah.
I feel like you have to have a breakdown before you have a breakthrough.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
and so in order to, and I've been actually isolating a lot because there's too much going on out
Right.
there to deal with that. Like, I am just going inside at this point and I'm learning so much about myself, about my real true perspective on the world and my true authentic self, without any trying to be else or be anything for anybody else, and just be. And sometimes sitting with yourself is the best thing you could do for your mental health if you don't listen to the negative stuff, because that negative stuff isn't even always us.
Yeah.
Sometimes that negative stuff is just the thought that wants to intrude on your happiness. That's what
Yeah.
I like to call it, like interference. Like this negative thing, that like the toxic thing, you can turn into that toxic person from this negative thing,
You
the
know what
negative
you
thought
also caught on
process.
to though?
Mhm.
Interference and then
Yes.
interference, like
Yes.
interferes. Oh, that's all you.
Oh, there we go. They put that on the next record. Interference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Interferes. I mean, we are so scared all the time. And that's what all this stimulation online is. It's fear, 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 right?
yeah.
So it wants us
Especially
to be
now.
terrified. So if you don't look at it, you don't get scared. If you look at the tree, you realize how peaceful life is when you look at the birds and they're just chirping.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
Like
it doesn't have to be
all the
scary.
discourse online is it's bullshit.
It is, it's all, and you know what? The more people that are fighting, the more feed into the fear and the more are just feeding the system that controls us. So
Yeah,
stop fighting about it, y'all.
yeah. But back to the good stuff. Like
Get back to life because
back to
this is a
the
bunch of distraction.
yeah. But like throughout the album, you have like all these um all these cool people. You have the guy from Hinder,
Oh,
Lips
yeah.
of an Angel.
His voice is, I was blown away. I was like, wow,
Still to
really
this
good.
day.
Yes, yes, yes.
Wow.
Incredible.
Yeah,
I just
wow.
love his
And
character
non-point
texture.
too. And I
Yeah.
said to that's going back.
Non-point. I love those guys so much. They're such good people. And yeah, that was so cool. I can't believe Elias did that. I can't believe he sang on that. It's so cool.
Yeah.
That was actually the first song that somebody recognized recently, like us at a Planet Fitness. And he's like, "Oh my God, you did the song Beast with Non-Point." And I was like, we're popular.
Yeah. So like how did you get into it? Were you like, um, I'm such a huge fan, or by then was the collaboration, did it set into the point where you reached like a flow state together so you were able to like set the starstruckness aside and like,
Uh,
work together in that?
well, so we actually wrote all the record before we had the features on it. And then if an artist wanted to come in and change some things, then they're more than welcome as long as it is stuck to the song. So we didn't, we had already kind of written it and then like sent him the song and to see if he was interested. And he was super stoked for it. So I was really happy that his response wasn't just like, oh, okay, fine. But he was like, this is a cool track. Let's do it. So yeah, I'm honored. That's
Yeah.
rad.
How would you like describe like the creative process? Because a lot of them, again, like you've done like all these songs focused primarily beforehand on like heaviness, emotional depth, but these especially have like really good like hooks, like 666 and Cannibal, like a lot of like I said, like a lot of like poppy kind of stuff. So did you like kind of sit around and were like, did you base like the songs like around the hooks, like, or did like the stylistic stuff come first and then the lyrics?
Yeah, I usually start with a hook. And usually it starts with the music, um, a concept to kind of start with, and then we just like build the hook as the music's being created more and more. Like Cameron would be in there working on the production, and we would just basically kind of loop the hook music and feel what felt the best. And so sometimes that can take a while to come up with. But Evan, he's brilliant at that stuff. So it was really easy to collaborate and bounce ideas off lyrically. He's also really good at guitar. So if we had any extra stuff that he wanted to add, that helped too.
What
But and then Cameron's just like a mastermind at like the actual mixing and programming extra synths and elements. And I think he definitely added more of the pop element to it because he's just kind of likes the pop stuff too. But we were just like not thinking about what kind of music we were making. We kept it like, us, our brand, obviously, like
yeah,
we're heavy band screamer girl.
yeah,
But but we, if you scream and add some riffs on some stuff and some guitars, it turns electronics into metal. I love having electronics in there. I think it's a more modern way to look at music, but it's all your own taste, what you like. It doesn't even, it's just what we all came up with and collaborated on, and this is what our musical baby came out as. We didn't have a plan except to have fun and make the songs fun. That was it. Fun and
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. And I mean, even when you did get signed, did you at any point in like your music making journey feel like a lot of pressure? Like, oh, I gotta, like, I mean, even like 2015, 2016 was a different time because even though you did get signed and reach a wider audience, like, there wasn't any real like drive for like platinum status or something or anything like that. Like, were there any like label pressures or did you ever feel pressured to like write like a very groundbreaking song or album or anything like that? Or even when you were signed, you felt like you just continued at your own sort of pace?
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on, when you have a label and a bunch of team of people that are like counting on you to do a good job and a budget, so you want to do the best you can every time. But uh there was never, I think the Darkness album, because our Never Alone album did really well, the Darkness album was kind of hard because we wrote 70 songs to try to make up for what what we did with Never Alone. We switched producers, and then we ended up writing all of that record in the studio with producers, with Matt Good, and it came out amazing. But I think it was very much a pressure thing. There was a lot riding on it, so it did kind of um, stunt the growth and the ability to be artists authentically and creatively. But I do understand that it is because they were passionate at the time about it. Um, uh, there's the last two records on Century was pretty chill. They didn't care, so so we did what we wanted pretty much on that too. And then there was the radio songs and stuff, but this one was just fun. It was just a good time. Just let out the crazy.
Wow. So you wrote 70 songs, to follow up Never Alone. That's
Yeah.
gotta be, I mean, I know, a lot of bands when they're productive, especially in that label pressure, um, or just to or just because they stick to their drive, they write a bunch of songs and wheedle it down to 10. But like out of those 70, I mean, were there any that were unreleased that you felt like could have made the album?
Yeah, I still dig back to those sometimes, but there's something about the way that we write when we write it at the moment that we're writing it that it needs to come out then. Like, um, so digging back to old songs is kind of hard because there's some songs that I definitely dug. I thought they were cool. And they could be improved always, but you can change a chorus, change a melody, whatever, change guitar riffs, drums. You can change the whole song and make it even better. But I don't know. There's something about writing right now, what where my mental headspace is versus something that we wrote in 2018, 19. It's I'm a different person than I was.
Mm-hmm. So, at some point, like, even if you were to like formally like re-release all your old stuff, you would be like, yeah, this is where it began, but you know, this is for the fans, more for the fans, or
I don't know. I never really, who knows? I told all of them if I die to just release everything and
uh,
make some money off it.
oh man,
Don't be shooting me just to get those songs. No, I'm just kidding.
that's brutally honest. That's really cool. Um, but it really is a transformation that you've gone through. And I think even though heartbreak is a recurring theme in your music, I think by Medusa, it's like taken on like um a more it's interesting because the vibe of the songs is very sharp, snappy, tongue-in-cheek, relaxed, but at the same time, it speaks to your growth. It also speaks to your age and the place of life that you are now, and like to a certain maturity where, you you just kind of move forward, you know at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's not even really about being venomous or like spiteful or whatever. You're just in a better place now.
Oh yeah, I mean, we wrote this 2 years ago also,
Yeah.
where I just found out like we got dropped officially
Hmm.
and so I was pretty bitter at the
Yeah.
time. I'm definitely not there anymore. And if I was, then I really have some work to do on myself.
Considering the career that you've had thus far, and like I mentioned, the 16 years together, what have you learned about yourself not only as a musician, but as a person.
So much, so little, still. But I feel like perseverance is the one thing that I'm learning. I'm not good at giving up on something. If I really want something, I go for it. And I could never quit music ever. So even though that thought, that sneaky little thought crosses my path, every once in a while, I don't agree with it. And I don't think that you need to ever quit something that you love. You can change the way that you do it and make it more comfortable or stop doing the things that don't make you happy about that thing. But I think persevering through it, if you love it, perseverance is the key to follow your heart too. Always follow your heart because why do other stuff that you don't want to do?
Yeah, perfectly said. And it was so good to meet you. It was so good hearing your story, traversing back through the moments and like all the albums. And seriously, like it's been an honor meeting you, you know.
Thanks for having me.
It's been real. And thank you again.
Thank you. Have a good day.